We are now live, and we're gonna wait for people to tune in. Give people a good 30 seconds to 1 minute to start tuning in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to everybody pulling up.
Yeah, we're just waiting for people. How was your weekend, bro?
Magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in New York
Well,
City.
okay. What's going on in New York?
It was a lot of festivities this strong in, but the most was centered around the Jay-Z concert at Yankee Stadium. So
Oh, you had a
I'm in the
concert.
yeah 3 days. Brought a lot of
He
money
had a
to the
3 day
town.
concert.
Yeah,
Okay.
brought a lot
He's
of business to the
okay.
city. Brought a lot of out of towner people. I was meeting a bunch of people, and just a lot of people that know me was hitting me up when they found out I was out here. They was in Times Square and other places.
Okay.
Um, just summertime in New York. I got my daughter, my son. You know what I'm saying? So we
Mm-hmm.
was just doing a family thing, moving around.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
Jay Z still popular, huh?
Yes.
So what you're saying is that he had a 3 day concert?
And Yankee Stadium sold out every night.
Really?
Yeah.
3 days back to back to what he's releasing a new album or something?
Nah. These is all
Just
classics.
oh, okay. So he just did a
He was
concert just to do a
celebrating.
concert.
He was celebrating the 30th and the 20th anniversary for some of his classics.
Okay.
So naturally, the people who grew up listening to these albums could relate to the messages. Are just probably new fans and whatnot. They were
Okay.
all in attendance.
Got it.
And then,
Interesting.
Yankee Stadium being the iconic setting that is, you feel me? You don't usually have concerts there.
Mm-hmm.
So people took advantage of that.
All right. Cool.
I would say, because I said it before, I would say when it comes to aspiration of seeing somebody turn into something or talking about what you want to be, manifestation, speaking your life into existence,
Mm-hmm.
speaking your vision into existence. A lot of people were reminded when they listened to those lyrics of what he was talking about. I'm very critical of him and his ties to like drug dealing and stuff like that back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's no denying the poetic aspect of what he was bringing. You know what I mean? There's no denying the lyricism. There's even
Mm-hmm.
no denying the fact that when you listen to the catalog at that show, I didn't really hear no crack rap. It wasn't like he was on there talking about, sell crack, sell drugs, destroy your community. We all, you know what I
Right.
mean? We all we got. Let's do it. That's
Right.
not what I
Right.
was hearing. You know what I'm saying? It was more of a
Okay.
manifestation or principle of getting it out the mud and coming from nothing to something while you dragging your nuts, you know what I mean? Respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's kind of like how New Yorkers do it anyway. We're gonna talk our talk. We're gonna walk our walk. And
Okay.
yeah, that's basically what I saw. He looked
All
really
right.
good. He
So
looked good for 56. He might be on that
okay.
olive leaf extract, lost weight, you know what I mean? Slimmed up, got lean. You feel
Yeah.
me? Took a few years
Yeah.
off of his face.
Okay.
So people
That's
celebrate
cool.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. And then so you live in Atlanta. That
Yeah.
was you live in Atlanta coming back to New York, that was kind of like a homecoming for you.
You know what was interesting? I didn't go to the last night. They had night three. Um, but that was like an Atlanta show because he brought out mad Atlanta artists. It just showed how tied in with Atlanta he is because he brought the whole Atlanta damn near out to perform with him.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, so Atlanta, New York, really like cousins. Truth be told, you know what I'm saying?
Uh,
They need to take care of us better because we damn sure came out there and took care of them. You know, we turned that city into what it is.
which city are you talking about?
Atlanta,
You
the
talking about the New
presence of New
Yorkers?
Yorkers, the mindset of
Oh,
New
okay,
Yorkers, the energy of New Yorkers, the
okay,
sauce that New York brings. Yeah, we transformed Atlanta into Atlanta.
okay.
A lot of the managers that were behind some of those marquee acts, the TIs of the world, and those was like New Yorkers behind them. The
All
behind the
right.
scenes action was a lot of the vision behind these artists. You know, they always had a hand in it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people asking about the show, and people are tapped in, so we can get started, man. Um,
Mm.
so big
Lay.
up, big up to everybody who's tuned in on Know the Ledge, Know the Ledger, on my channels as well, on my Facebook, my YouTube, and my X. Today, we won't need to go to the Patreon because we're not going to be talking about anything necessarily controversial. What we're going to do is I'm going to talk about being in London. So I am live in London, England right now, and this is
Yes,
my
yes.
first time in London. Red Pill has been in London, you said, in 2019.
2019. Yes, right before the scamdemic.
Okay. So let me just tell y'all. So we are going to talk about health, and I'm going to talk about what I've noticed. But I'm going to also talk about London. I'm going to talk about travel. So coming to London is very interesting because I didn't know what to expect. I've been a student of history for some decades now, and one of the things that I studied was British history, and I always wanted to study British history because I always wanted to find out how a small island conquered the world, where they got pretty much everyone speaking their language as the language of commerce, right? Uh, I wanted to know how this was done for just a small, island and group of people, and how they did it. And so I spent a lot of time studying English history. Somebody who was born in Africa, where we were colonized in the country I was born in by the British, and then also being raised in the United States and seeing the United States was a British colony, you'd want to ask yourself about Britain and, like, why is it that these people are all over the place and why they were able to conquer the world. So doing my studies on British history did not necessarily prepare me for the present day reality of Britain. Every time I would hear British accent, I always think about, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, Prince Charles, and these people growing up. And so you have this image of Britain. And of course, I've known about Brixton, which is like the black areas of Britain, where you have a lot of folks from the Caribbean and Africa, and big reggae movements came out of Brixton. You have bands like Steel Pulse, Oswald, and stuff like that. And so I knew that there's a black, presence here, but I also, you know, really saw it as really tea and crumpets, right? So coming here, Red Pill, was really interesting because when I landed and started driving around, it looked just like Brooklyn. Like London looked like Brooklyn to me. Like, except that cars drive on the other side of the road.
It
Like,
looks like the parent to Brooklyn's badass, right? Like
like,
you go out, you be like, I'm over here parent teacher conference. This is the parents of America.
yeah, like, but like driving up and down the road, like really, if I wasn't, if I, we weren't on like the left side of the road in London, I would, and someone told me it was Brooklyn, I would definitely believe it. The street layout, the shops, it just looks like Brooklyn. Like it really does. Here's the other thing. I'm not seeing a lot of white folks here. Like in London, I'm
Right.
seeing a majority Arabs, Indians, and Pakistanis.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm seeing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I'll see.
there's a replacement really taking place out there.
Yes, it's really really interesting to see, man. And Um, the Arabs in London have a lot of wealth, man. They own a lot of the real estate, a lot of the shops, a lot of the stores. It's really, it is not what I expected. Now, here's the other thing too that some of you all might not know, and this is why it's important to travel. Never rely on what other people tell you. You got to go see things for yourself. People got all types of ideas and all types of preconceived notions, but you don't know a place until you've been there, honestly. And that's one of the most important things I can say to people. And that's when my travels all over Africa, all over the Caribbean. When I went to El Salvador, you hear about crime in El Salvador, but when I went, it was one of the safest places because it actually been cleaned up. So a lot of the information you have about places is not updated. A lot of it is stereotypes that don't ring true a lot of time. And I know that just from walking around living in Africa. And the images you get in America is completely different than when you are actually on the land. Now, here's the biggest thing that I saw. Well, there's two things, and the second thing is what we're going to talk about today in the show. And we don't need to take too long, but it's very important. So the first thing that I noticed the first day I was here, Red Pill, and I'm here in the summertime. So summer is different than fall and winter here in London, but it doesn't get dark until 11 p.m. No one ever told me like at
11 p.m.
11 p.m.
What?
At 10:30 p.m. It's still the sky is still bright.
With the
The
rise.
sky is still bright. Like what I mean is bright. Like you don't need street lights, anything. You look up, and it's the sky is not dark. It's bright, like it would be like 7:30 in the summertime
Right.
in New York. Like where it's not dark
Right,
and it's
right,
still
right.
bright. 10 p.m. It's still light outside in London, y'all.
Yeah, that's
And
mad.
but here's the thing. It let me know, like, I've had family that's lived here, people who visit here, and they've never mentioned this to me. I'm saying, wow, that seems like a pretty big detail to leave out. You know what I mean? Because it's actually really strange. Now here's the other part of that red pill. The sun comes up at 3:30 a.m. in London. Okay? So it gets dark at 11 p.m. and the sun comes up at 3:30, 4 a.m. It's really strange. And then they tell me that during the winter time, it gets pitch black dark at 3 p.m. in London, right? And they're telling me that it's only 1 month out of the year where the weather is actually good. Like, like how we're enjoying summer. They're saying that like it's 1 month where the weather is good. The other months, it's cold and rainy and dreary, right? Which affects people's moods, personalities, and health, right? Because of the whole vitamin D factor. So that's a pretty big thing that I see, and I just couldn't believe how people have left that conversation out in terms of I've never been in a place where it gets dark at 11 p.m. It's very weird to be like literally I'm standing outside at 10 o'clock at night and it's still light outside. It is not dark. So that was weird to me. The other thing, and this is what we're going to talk about in the show, and it's going to be real quick because people need to see this and I have other things I've got to do. So we won't be doing a typical 2 3 hour show today. But here's what I also noticed, Red Pill. You know, and where I go, whenever I go to a different country, I'll sit outside wherever I am and just watch people, just to see, the different faces, the different cultures, the different everything. Here's what I noticed in London, and I've been here for 3 days, so I've been in different places and have been able to observe pretty a good cross section of people. London doesn't, at least London. I don't know about the rest of England. London does not have the obesity problem that America has. I sat down for a couple hours each day, just sit outside and just watch people walking. And I'd say that like In London, maybe one out of every 12 people is obese, whereas in America, it's about one out of every three, or maybe one out of every two. Um, Someone says, yeah, really strange. Been living here in England for 20 years from U.S. Virgin Islands. I met Red and Blue Pill in Birmingham. Oh, okay. So some people met you in Birmingham, Red Pill. Yeah, and so that's Jahaler. Yeah, and you can confirm.
Yeah. We was in Birmingham Veg. We
Okay.
went in October, right? And they
Hmm.
celebrate Black History Month in October. We didn't
Mm,
experience the summertime in the UK. That's why I'm sitting here kind of mind blown that you were talking about how dark it is. Because when we were out there, it was in October. We
mm-hmm,
did Leeds, we did Croydon, we did Birmingham Veg, we
mm.
did where's it? Where the gangsters at in London again? What
I don't
street is
know.
that?
Well, I just know the Caribbean population used to be in
All right,
Brixton.
that's yeah, that's where we went. I'm forgetting
Okay.
it off the
The
top of my
Brixton.
head.
Yeah.
Brixton. Went to Brixton and yeah, we went all over. We were there for like 7 days and it was we look, we went to Parliament, not to visit. No. We didn't go to visit, bro. We was with Infudishi,
Hmm.
we was with the Queen from the Congo,
Hmm.
we was with a delegation. We went into Parliament and held court. They gave us a room for 3 hours. We had a meeting with representatives from Africa. 19 Keys was there, matter of fact. We had a
Okay.
meeting with representatives from Africa in their parliament. They basically set the room up for us and left because we was with
Okay.
Queen Diambi from the Congo.
Okay.
So they gave her a lot of respect. And then the next day they closed down the parliament and cleaned it for the first time in many, many decades. They
Mm,
closed down the part. Let me repeat that. The day after we was in parliament, they closed it down and cleaned the whole parliament, bro.
mm.
But
Interesting.
yeah, we did some bossed up moves out there, and it was a beautiful experience. And like you said, all I was seeing was people in physical shape, not physical shape like they in the gym.
Hmm.
They just have a slim.
Yes.
They were very slim and
Yes.
very quote unquote. There was no obesity until we went far outside of the UK.
Yeah. I mean, it's palpable. You can see it, man. And so this is what I want to talk about today, particularly for those tuned in from the United States. The food supply in the U.S. is poison, and it shows up in people's bodies, y'all. Like, you're gonna have to really start taking this thing seriously because sitting in London, because I look at America as just an extension of Europe, right? In a way, because of the people who run America, in terms of the policymakers, the wealthy. Um, it's really been a country that's run by Europeans, in terms of the power. And I'm looking at another country that's run by Europeans in terms of power, and I'm looking at people walking up and down the street, and I'm not seeing obesity, man. I'm not seeing people with big guts hanging out. I'm not seeing women who are obese. I'm not seeing children who are obese. And you can literally sit, and I'm talking about, I'm in like hustle bustle London, watching people walk up and down the street, and I'm really, really impressed by what I'm seeing in terms. Now, I mean, when I'm in Africa, I don't see obese people like that either. But it was just interesting to be in a European country and watching the people look different. Like, people were not so obese, man. So what we're going to talk about today is like the American food ingredients that are banned in Europe, right? And we're going to go over a list of that for you all to understand that the food that you're eating largely, and we all know about food, but to actually see a society that's completely overrun with obesity, and then go and see another society that is basically the parents of that society, because England is the parent of America, and to see that they are not obese. And what I mean by not obese, like, I'm talking about, I haven't seen one morbidly obese person here.
One what?
Okay. Morbidly obese. So what I
Right.
mean by morbidly obese is like someone who, you see them walking, they're waddling, and maybe they're 100 pounds overweight, right? I haven't seen that. I've seen people who are moderately overweight, maybe 30 pounds overweight. But in America, it's very common to see people who are 100 pounds overweight all day long. You can just sit down. You can go to Brooklyn. You can go to Manhattan. You can go to Miami. You can go and you can just sit down and you just see an epidemic of obesity. Like it is straight in your face. The thing is that if you're in America all your life, you get used to it. But until you start to travel and see how normal human beings look like on a regular basis, is different. So here's the thing: that in America, you
Yeah.
just have the over processing of food, and the food has no nutrients in it, and it never satiates you. So when you eat, you're hungry to keep eating more. Okay, so that's part of the problem. The other thing is that the ingredients in the food is just completely deleterious to health, man.
Right.
And you definitely see the difference. And so what I want to do is I want to share some lists of American ingredients that are banned in Europe. I mean,
It's
it's
banned in Europe.
yeah, and it's really, really big deal, man, and it makes a difference. Like this is a big deal. Like this is an important conversation that people have to have, man, because if your food supply is tainted, then you're just eating food in this kind of like lackadaisical way, but you're being poisoned all along. Okay. And so, what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at some charts here that I'm going to share with you all on food that is banned in Europe that is okay in the United States. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a couple of different charts, a couple of different lists, and you need to, if you're living in America, you need to actually be super diligent in looking out for these things in the ingredients, right? So uh, let me find a list that I think we can start with. All right, so there's a list here of 16 American food additives that are completely banned. All right, so let's look at this one. And I'm going to share my screen and we can just go over it. Um, but yeah, it's serious, man, and it shows up. It really shows up in the human population, man. Like it's so stark. I was shocked. You know, I thought I was going to see people looking like how they look in America, and so the American population has no idea how the food companies and the food delivery systems are actually at war with your health. Like those of us tuned in may know this, but it's different when you see it in real life. It's very, very different. Literally, I have not seen any morbidly obese people in London. I've seen some obese people, like I said, one out of every 12, maybe. But in America, it's like one out of every three people are obese. So I am sharing this right now. You all able to see this? Okay. So this is 16 American foods and their additives that are banned in Europe. Okay. So the European Food and Safety Administration, remember in America we have the FDA, Food and Drugs Administration. So like think about it. They they pair food and drugs together, right? Food and Drugs Administration. I think these brothers that I loved, these hip hop artists called Precise Science. They had a song called FDA, and I think the first lyrics was, "Why is food and drugs in the same administration?" You know what I'm saying? It's a big question to ask, right? So they're saying that foods or food additives that the European Food and Safety Administration bans are for three main reasons. They contain harmful ingredients for human health. They're sprayed with harmful pesticides and chemicals and do not have ethical or sanitary raising methods. And these foods can be linked to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, hormone disruptors, and more. And here are 16 American foods that are banned in Europe. So it says that Europe follows a preventative approach to food regulation known as qualified presumption of safety, where they extensively they test foods before they're put on the market for consumers. Whereas in the US follows a reactionary approach called generally recognized as safe, where the US lets food and chemicals be introduced into the market, and it is only until they're proven to be unsafe that action is taken, right? So basically, the U.S. food regulators, they just assume that the food is safe until they start hearing complaints that people are being killed by the food or what have you. Whereas the European food standard is they actually test the food, and it says shelf stability. It says, and I've talked about this. Remember, I've told you all that in terms of first principles thinking, the greatest limiting factor of food industry investors is that the food can get spoiled. So what do? They hire chemists to put things in your food to make the food not go bad, and so that the food can have a longer shelf life. And at Herbal Results, we have a saying that goes that the longer the shelf life of your food, the shorter the shelf life of the human being who consumes it. And so what it's saying here is that, it says, ever wonder why so many foods in the U.S. are so shelf stable and can last for years? It's because many of these foods have certain chemicals and dyes that were made to last, right? And so here's the thing, that they're more interested in the bottom line of selling the food to you than actually selling you food that is healthy. Okay, so here we go. Number one, apples. It says, have you ever noticed apples in the US are so shiny? The reason is that they are coated with a chemical wax, giving them that shine, making them last longer. The chemicals in the wax have been linked to certain cancers and other harmful human effects. So, good bet can be buying organic apples. And then there's a whole conversation about like organic and is it really like what they're saying it is. There's a whole thing about that because a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm buying organic food, so I'm safe now. Then you'll find studies that a lot of the food that's labeled organic is not necessarily what you think it is. And then a lot of the organic food has problems. And there's a guy who's been trying to prolong his life. He's now come down with autoimmune disease. His name is like Brian something. He's this multimillionaire guy who his whole thing is about living as long as possible. I forget his last name, it was Brian something. And he tests all the food that he consumed, and he found out that the food that was labeled organic actually came out with the worst test results. And I could probably at some time later, maybe even next week, I can show you all the test results that he talks about. But number two, flatbread. Flatbread contains potassium bromate, which is an oxidizer that helps bread to rise. This chemical is a carcinogen and has been linked to kidney and thyroid cancers in rats. Other foods containing this include certain wraps, breadcrumbs, and bagel chips. Bread in America is so terrible that people with celiac disease, they can't take any gluten. But it's not really actually the gluten; it is the spray that they put on the wheat because they grow in this GMO wheat, and the GMO wheat has to be sprayed whenever they harvest it, and it has all this terrible effects on people's health. So people who are told that they have celiac disease and they can't eat bread, whenever they leave America and come to Europe, they can eat bread and they don't have any problems. I mean, I've seen reports after reports, people talking about this. And so the bread in America is very problematic. So I don't eat bread unless I make it myself, and I make plantain bread. So I don't want to just tell you what not to eat. I want to give you alternatives, right? Because it's not enough to say don't eat this, but you can make alternatives. And so with bread, if you're buying bread that has wheat in it or any of these grains in it, believe me that it's going to have some problems. And what they've identified as one of the problems is azodicarbonamide. And it's a whitening agent found in both cereals and bread in the United States. It is not allowed in Europe, but it's allowed in the United States. It's a whitening agent. So it makes the bread look more white. Okay. It's known to be a chemical that is in yoga mats. And studies have shown that it can induce asthma and other respiratory problems in human beings, which is basically inflammatory problems. And you get inflammatory issues in the lungs. And it says fast food joints like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, they still use this in some form in their breads. Okay, farm raised salmon or any farm raised fish. Farm raised salmon. It says that these fish are in tight tanks and nets in water where disease is likely to spread quickly and easily, and they're fed feed that contains a mix of chemicals and antibiotics. So one of the chemicals is methyl mercury, which is crazy. If you all don't know methyl mercury is what they also have in ingredients listed in a lot of vaccines, and it's called thimerosal. And methyl mercury, if you all don't know, have you all heard of the term the Mad Hatter? So the term the Mad Hatter was because people who were making hats, like you've seen top hats. Well, they were making these hats with mercury, and so what happened is that the hatters started getting psychological psychosis and going crazy, and so they because they were using mercury, and so the term the Mad Hatter came from the fact that people who were making hats or in the hat making industry
That's
were
crazy.
exposed to mercury. So they had mercury poisoning, which caused them to start acting crazy. And that's where the term the Mad
The
Hatter
Mad
came from.
Hatter. That's
Yes,
crazy.
that's where it came from. So they're telling you that farm raised salmon and farm raised fish actually has methyl mercury in it. And we know that seafood can have mercury in it. And so that's why we have the moringa cilantro. Cilantro will chelate and cleave to heavy metals, and the heavy metals will come out through your urine. So that's why at Herbal Results we made the moringa cilantro product, because cilantro is great in clearing out heavy metals. We have studies on that as well. Um, so for instance, there and I'll maybe might be appropriate for me to show people this, because there are a lot of people suffering from heavy metal poisoning, and they have no idea what's going on. And it turns out that pathogens, and what I mean by pathogens is I'm talking about uh, viral infections, so viruses, bacterial infections. We're talking about fungal infections and parasitic infections. They actually hide behind heavy metals. So, like, it's almost like a shield. So, what happens is that the heavy metals protect the pathogens from any herbs or medicine that is trying to kill them. It literally acts like a shield, if you can like imagine it. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this study with you all on how serious this heavy metal poisoning is. And so, the heavy metals that people will get will be mercury from seafood. They also get lead from pipe-borne water, aluminum from aluminum pots and pans and vaccines, and arsenic from rice. Okay, so these are the heavy metals that people tend to have in their body that literally protect pathogens. And I'm going to share this because I love to give receipts in what I do. Um, I'm going to share this study with you all so you all can actually see Wagwan. So we have this study here. It's from the United States National Institute of Health. And so let me give you some receipts on this and why this is so important. All right. They want me to. Okay. I think that's it there. A bus. Let me see. Bicycle. Give me 1 second, y'all, because I want to show you all this study about heavy metals. Okay, here it is. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share this for you all. All right, so this is a very important study that I actually have in my eradication of cancer book that you can get on herbal results. But red pill, can you see this?
Yep.
Okay, the title of the study, as you see, is the National Library of Medicine, and this is from the NIH, National Institute of Health. It is a very important study. The role of mercury, which is Hg on the periodic table, in resistant infections and effective treatment of chlamydia and herpes family viral infections and potential treatment for cancer by removing localized mercury deposits with Chinese parsley. Chinese parsley is the same thing as cilantro, and delivering effective antibiotics using various drug uptake enhancement methods. What are they saying in this? Okay, so listen to this. You're going to get a kick out of this, Brother Red Pill. So they took a group of people and they separated them. These groups of people were infected with herpes and chlamydia. So you had some people infected with chlamydia, some people with herpes. They gave the people with herpes antivirals, and they gave the people with chlamydia antibiotics because chlamydia is a bacterial infection, herpes is a viral infection, right? And what they found out is that the people who were given these medicines, nothing was happening. Like they were still having the infection. Well, it turned out that there was a group of people within that group that were going to a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, and they were having a soup that had Chinese parsley, which is cilantro. And they found out that the people who were going to this restaurant, as they were taking the doxycycline for chlamydia or they were taking the antivirals for herpes, their chlamydia and their herpes went away. Okay? Actually, it was Vietnamese soup. That's what it says here. It says right here, it was accidentally discovered after eating Vietnamese soup, which happened to contain Chinese parsley, also called cilantro. Can you all see that? I can make it bigger. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you all can see it. It's very important. There's a lot of information that people are just not being made privy to. So it says right here, okay, these people started taking a Vietnamese soup. And this Vietnamese soup, here it is. They accidentally discovered after eating, let me just do it right, accidentally discovered after eating Vietnamese soup, which happened to contain Chinese parsley, also called cilantro. And it says, we also found Chinese parsley accelerates the excretion of these heavy metals, uh, including this is lead and arsenic. So mercury, lead, and arsenic from the body through the urine. Do you see that, red pill?
Yep, I see it.
Okay. So they
Crazy.
confirmed that Chinese parsley, which is cilantro, it accelerates the excretion of mercury, lead, and arsenic from the body through urine, as I told you earlier. And then what happened was that these groups of people who were eating at this Vietnamese soup, when they were given the antibiotics and the antiviral agents together with the Chinese parsley, all of a sudden their disease infections went away. Okay? And what they talk about, you see, it says the last traces of the infections and clinical symptoms disappeared completely. Because what they did was they gave them Chinese parsley tablets to remove the heavy metal deposits. And once the heavy metal deposits were removed, the last traces of the infections and clinical symptoms disappeared completely. So what they also noticed is that cancer, which is basically what we're seeing, is that like largely is these parasite problems are hiding behind these heavy metals. And so when you remove the heavy metals from the body, the pathogens are no longer protected. And now when you give them some type of medicine or herbs to kill them, they actually become effective. So we see this with many people with herpes, which uses heavy metals. And it's, you see in the title, they mention chlamydia and the herpes. So why a lot of people are not getting success with herpes is because they've got heavy metals that have not been cleared up. So there's people with herpes and they're taking acyclovir and different medications, but their herpes is not going away because the herpes virus is using these heavy metal deposits in your body to protect itself. Okay, so this is very important in terms of people's health. That's why at Herbal Results we created this product here called Moringa Lantro, because what we found out is that Moringa makes cilantro more effective and cilantro makes Moringa more effective. And this is the product here. Okay, so if you go to herbalresults.net, you can get your Moringa Lantro powder to do a heavy metal cleanse. And at the same time, use the moringa that is in the product to give you nutrients. So we have is that we have a cleansing mechanism and a nutrient feeding mechanism all in one. So while you're doing a detox, you're also getting nutrients. That's why we say detox while replenishing, is that you know everyone can see this. Cilantro detoxifies the body, moringa adds vital nutrients. And we get great results with the Moringa Lantro at Herbal Results. And that's why I actually created the product for this purpose of clearing heavy metals from the body, but also giving people the nutrient densities that they need, because moringa is pretty much one of the most nutrient dense foods that you can have. Okay. And it's also a fat burner, and it lowers blood pressure, and it also lowers blood sugar. So that's why you'll see what we have here, moringa powder, and it says it's a fat burner. It says a detoxifier, heavy metals, healthy for weight loss, and you can achieve healthy blood pressure and blood sugar levels. It says eradicate herpes. It's also anti-inflammatory, and it has powerful immune system support. It increases energy, and it also fights against cancer. So that study woke me up to why a lot of people are not getting healed, even though they're taking herbs and they're taking medicines and they have these persistent infections. And it's because they have resistant infections due to mercury and other heavy metals. Okay. So I hope that this study was informative to you all in terms of understanding what's going on with your health because of this heavy metal poisoning. But we're going to go right back to the foods that are banned and the ingredients that are banned. So methyl mercury in a lot of farm-raised salmon. Corn. American corn is sprayed with a chemical called atrazine. Atrazine is a big, big problem. Why is atrazine a big problem? It affects the sexual development of children. It affects the sexual development of fetuses. As a matter of fact, there's a study, and there's actually a brother who's a scientist who brought this up. They showed that when you give, like there were frogs who were given atrazine in water, I believe, and the gender of the frogs changed because of the atrazine. And it's clear it affects sexual development. I could probably look it up here somewhere. And so this is why you have a lot of things going on with gender confusion and people having hormonal imbalances and don't know who they are and what they want to do, because their hormones are being affected by things like atrazine. I'm going to put atrazine, see, atrazine frogs. Okay, here it is. I want you all to see this. Can you see this red pill?
The frog?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, look what it says. Atrazine is a widely used herbicide that acts as an endocrine disruptor. Research shows it can chemically castrate and feminize male frogs, causing genetic males to develop ovaries, produce eggs, or suffer from severely reduced testosterone levels at concentrations as low as 2.5 parts per billion. Did you all see that? And it says this phenomenon, I'm going to make this bigger because I said it earlier, and a lot of people be like, oh, how could you say that, Heru? Like, that can't be true, right? And I'm just telling y'all, this is why I provide receipts with everything that I do. Look at this. It says further, This phenomenon gained widespread public attention and controversy when publicized as the gay frogs conspiracy theory. Do you understand what I'm saying? And what they're saying is that, and it's Dr. Tyrone Hayes. And I'm going to show you Dr. Tyrone. That's the brother I'm talking about. This is Dr. Tyrone Hayes. Just letting y'all know that when I'm talking, I'm not making any of this stuff up. I'm just letting y'all know what it is. So this is Dr. Tyrone Hayes. And let me see if I can get an image of him. Yeah, that's him right here. Okay. This is Dr. Tyrone Hayes right here. And I'm about to share this tab. You all see him? Can you see him, Red Pill?
Yeah.
That's him right there.
I remember him.
Yep. And he's the one who he's a biology professor and a professor of integrative biology, University of California, Berkeley. And it says he is known for his research in frogs, including the herbicide atrazine as an endocrine disruptor that demasculinizes male frogs and causes them to display female characteristics. What happens when you give this to human beings? And it may also give you a sense of why there's so much gender dysphoria going on right now in the world, and gender dimorphism going on in the world, because you're getting tainted food supply that is actually causing a disruption in your endocrine system. It's all there, y'all. Look it up, do your own due diligence as we move through atrazine. Okay. And this is a huge problem. So if you're eating corn in America, your children are getting atrazine. Okay. And it is banned in 44 countries, but America says it's okay. All right. Number 6, fat-free snacks has a chemical called olestra, which is also banned. And it's an additive to substitute fat and has been extensively linked to gastrointestinal disease in children and terrible diarrhea in adults. So people have all these, all while shown to increase appetite. That's why people in America eat so many meals. So you're getting a fat-free snack because you think that it's not going to make you fat, but it actually makes you want to eat more food. So you see how wicked these people are? The exact opposite is happening to you when you're eating a fat-free snack. So they're playing with words. Crazy. Yes, they're playing with words, but they're actually drawing you in to actually go down the same road that you're trying to avoid. They tell you fat-free, but it causes you to have gastrointestinal problems, digestive problems, all the while shown to increase your appetite. And now we start to understand what I see in America versus what I just saw in London in terms of the way people look. This is why people are fat. It's not even your fault, people in America. It's not your fault because you think you're eating these foods and it's okay because you haven't been educated, because the educational system is trash, but you didn't realize that this food is actually, because the FDA is allowing anything in to the food supply, you actually are eating food that's making you more and more unhealthy. Your children are getting gender issues, endocrine disrupting issues when they're eating corn, and they're eating fat-free snacks, and they can't control their appetites. Okay, American beef, chicken, and pork. And it says that one of the chemicals is ractopamine, and is shown to have health problems in both animals and humans, including reproductive, cardiovascular, and endocrine problems. Again, endocrine problems. That's your hormones, y'all. In addition, these animals also raised in very unsanitary conditions, aka factory farms, where they're kept in tight environments. Disease can be rampant. So you always want to, if you're going to eat meat, you always want free-range organic meat. Free-range means that these the chickens and the cows, they're allowed to actually walk around and they're not in tight places. And that's where the disease comes from. And it says in the United States, a lot of the chicken is washed in chlorine. And then it says that the beef can have pink slime, which is a filler for U.S. beef made from ammonia gas, which can also be found in cleaning products. Okay? So, and then the byproducts made from these animals like eggs, cheese, butter, yogurt, and milk are also banned in Europe. So in Europe, they go farther. So they won't even let you eat the children or the eggs or any of the butter or yogurt that comes from these animals that have been uh, subjected to ractopamine. Okay? Chocolate milk, and I didn't know this. So, most chocolate milk contains a carcinogen that allows the chocolate and the milk to emulsify and thicken it. This emulsifying agent has been linked to higher levels of breast and prostate cancers. And this agent is also found in baby formulas, salad dressing, ice cream, and more. They didn't list what that particular product was, but it's an emulsifier. And then gum, chewing gum, has a preservative called butylated hydroxyanisole, and it's known as BHA, and is used to keep food fresh, but it has links to causing cancer in rats and also an endocrine disruptor. Notice that you're seeing a lot of endocrine disruptors, and now you start putting two and two together. Why are you getting, children saying, I don't want to be a boy anymore. I want to be a girl. I'm not a girl. I want to be a boy. And, different politicians and what have you, like in certain states like California, like a child can say, I want to change my gender, and the parents can't do anything about it. Actually, the parents will be like sanctioned or put in jail if like the other words, you don't need parental consent if your 10-year-old child decides that they want to be a different gender and want to have gender surgery. They will stop the parents from actually keeping the child from doing it, and you, the parent, can have your child taken away as almost like child abuse if you don't want your child to go through what they call gender affirming surgery, which is crazy. Okay? But what's happening is that unknown to you, you are giving your child gum, you're giving your child these foods that have atrazine, these other foods that have endocrine disruptors, and the child now is growing up confused because their hormones are doing all types of crazy things and they don't know who they want to be. Okay? And this is real. It's a conversation people need to have. And BHA can be found in potato chips, cereal, cake mixes, packaging, cosmetics, snack foods, frozen foods, meats, butter, dehydrated potatoes, and beer. Okay? Food dyes. That's red 40, blue 1, yellow 5, and 6. And I believe that Robert Kennedy got these food dyes banned recently. Okay? It says that these bright dyes, they're aimed to attract children because children are attracted to colors. And so what happens is that blue number 1 in particular can cross into your brain barrier, and these dyes have been shown to increase symptoms of severity in kids with ADHD. Okay? Kids who are having attention deficit issues and hyperactive disorders, these dyes are actually exacerbating the condition. And you, as a parent, you don't even know it because a child says, oh, I want to get this candy. Because, anytime you take a child to a supermarket with you, they're always trying to get the parent to buy things. And there's always things that are colorful. And these things that are colorful have these dyes in it. And unbeknownst to you, you're letting them eat this stuff and it's affecting them in their brain. Okay? That includes, they're saying these food dyes are in pickles, cherries, nacho cheese, Doritos, M&M's, Skittles, cereals, Gatorade, V8 juice, Pop Tarts. And Europe uses dyes with items like fruits, vegetables, and seasonings for their foods. But they ban, so there's different types of dyes that you can make natural dyes that come out of fruits. But these synthetic dyes, red 40, blue 1, yellow 5, and 6, are going to cause brain issues. High fructose corn syrup, we've all heard of it. High fructose corn syrup is going to be playing a role in your type 2 diabetes and also fatty liver disease. Okay, and that's in a lot of your soda and your candy, and they'll add it, to a lot of fruit drinks as well. And then they have sugar cane. So a lot of the sugar cane that they have in America is sprayed with atrazine, y'all. I mean, this is crazy. Peanut butter. Um, oh, so they're just talking more about deforestation. So it's not that the palm oil is bad for you because palm oil generally is good for you. We have palm oil in West Africa all day long for centuries. But what they're saying is that it's causing deforestation. So because of that, they're banning palm oil. And apparently there's something to do with cutting down these palm trees that's affecting the habitat of certain animals like orangutans. So they ban that. Then citrus sodas like Mountain Dew, crushed pineapple, Sundrop has brominated vegetable oil. I told you all about these vegetable oils, and it has modification with bromide, which is causing thyroid issues that affects your metabolism and again hormone regulation. So your hormones are being attacked in so many different ways. And then it says blueberry granola bars, Ritz crackers, hydrogenated soybean and cottonseed oils. And these are the vegetable oils that I tell you all to stay away from, and that you should be using um, unprocessed, unrefined coconut oil, virgin coconut oil instead. So these are the 16 different foods that are banned in Europe, and they are allowed in America. And what you're seeing a trend of endocrine disruptors, y'all. And so this is real serious. So you want to read the ingredients of all your food. You also want to what you also want to do is make sure that you're selecting food products with the least amount of ingredients. This is very important. Okay? You want to have the least amount of ingredients, because if you have food that has 20 different ingredients and you're just trying to get a piece of food, you shouldn't have that many ingredients. And the more you limit, the best ingredients are no ingredients. Let's put it that way. Right? And of course, if you're getting food, it's going to have some ingredients in it, but the least ingredients possible is what you want to shoot for. And that's why, people are going to have to start like really embracing the fine science and art of cooking at home, right? Because this prepackaged food is all with preservatives, man. So you want to just go to the vegetable market, the fruit market. Even if you're eating meat, you want to go straight to the butcher, man, if you can, or have it, where it's free range and organic, and eat that type of food, man. Because if you're eating prepackaged food, you are putting yourself at risk. And all you have to do, I'm going to tell you all this right now. If you're in America all your life, you do not have a great sense of what's happening in the world. You take a trip to London, pull up a chair, and just sit on the sidewalk and watch people walking. And you are going to see the difference in the health and the body morphology of
So
people.
look, that is exactly what me and my daughter were doing at Yankee Stadium.
Mm.
We were people watching.
Mm-hmm.
I literally told her we going to the show to go people watch. I needed her to see what people look like. Not just in New York. I explained to her this is New York, but it's people from everywhere. Let's just look. Let's just examine. And then we'll talk about it later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know what I was looking at. And, I was scanning the demographics. She's 12. So we were able to kind of see if there were other 12-year-olds around, which it was not. Nobody under 30 was out there. And it was 40,000 people in attendance that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were looking at bodies, faces, just how people were moving. I love to do that. I got used to
Yep.
that working on 125th Street because literally I'd be out there working at work and I had to stand there and look at people all day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that corridor of 125th Street has the most foot traffic in New York City. So I was able to, over the years, see the systematic change in people's based off of the introduction of multiple fast food chains in Harlem, the removal of mom and pop restaurants like Sylvia's when it switched up and they started doing canned foods and stuff like that, processed foods and whatnot. The introduction of the Starbucks, the KFCs, the Popeyes, and all of that they removed the soul food restaurants, even though that's not really healthy. The vegan spots was serving only soy out there in New York, and what that was doing to the men, right? The overall, demeanor of the men, how that began to change. They started turning into like very chatty patty soy boy types in the vegan community. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
hmm?
Absolutely. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see it
yeah.
because it's affecting people's testosterone. It's
Very
affecting
much
men's
so.
testosterone. And you can actually see it. And they say that like the testosterone level of young boys and men, like every generation is dropping like 50%. It's like some crazy numbers. I have to look at the
It's
numbers, but
crazy.
the testosterone levels are depleted. And men
Plummeted.
is coming from the food that they're eating. I mean, it's a big problem, and you literally can see it. You can see it, man. And so, look, man, people. eh, Here's the thing: like most people around the world tend to travel, except for Americans. The Americans who do travel might go on vacation somewhere, but a lot of Americans don't travel. If you're been in America all your life, the best advice I can give you is get out of America and see what the rest of the world is like, because your food is being poisoned. And what you think, and the crazy thing is this, man. I remember being in Jamaica, and I went to Jamaica one time, and I stayed at one of these all-inclusive hotel resorts, right? So I'm sitting there, and of course, like I'm not necessarily happy to be there, but I was just there. Because you in Jamaica, you want to go straight, to where the action is, right? And it's not at the all-inclusive resorts. That's not Jamaica. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and I'm people watching, and so like this is a country full of black folks, right? But you know what's so crazy? I could tell who was from America and who was from Jamaica. You know why? Everyone from America was walking waddled, hunched over, and was obese. All the black folks from America. So you could tell who was from Jamaica, and the Jamaicans, because they're eating ground food, they're eating yam, they're eating dasheen, they're eating kalaloo. You understand what I'm saying? You could tell that they were walking more upright, they were stronger. But the Americans who were there on vacation, you couldn't literally, if you look, you can't tell who's American and who's Jamaican. You just can't, because it's just black folks. But you could actually tell who was American by the body type and the
Now,
obesity and the way
right.
that people were walking. People were walking like kind of
The wobble.
slow with limping, and
Right.
people were just sick, man. Like people in America are sick, and it's become normalized, man. If you don't
Right.
believe me, just go to a water park or go to a beach and look at people. And this is not the way people are supposed to look, man. This is not the
Right.
way people are supposed to look. Morbid obesity is a big problem in America, and it becomes normalized if you never leave America. You think this is what human beings are supposed to look like. But go to the Caribbean, go to South America, go to Europe, go to Africa,
Yep.
and see what the average human being is supposed to look like. And obesity is not
You
where
know
it's
what's
at, man.
scary?
Yeah.
That they started the propaganda during the FIFA about these badass foods in America, where they were having the Europeans coming over here picking out, right?
Hmm.
Chimping out at Bucky's, damn near Bucky's racetrack, the redneck establishment that you find when you go driving on the highway in the South. Then they had them at Waffle House. Then they have them at they had them at all of the establishments with all of these
Hmm.
GMO greasy foods and this ultra processed foods, and then they had them like, oh my goodness, guys, you don't know America's food is so good. No, y'all are getting addicted to
Hmm.
chemicals. You're getting a chemical rush, right? Similar to if I went somewhere and started taking pharmaceuticals and whatnot, and then being like, man, y'all need to try this lean out. This is you'd be surprised. It's like a massage to your body. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
man.
in America, they're pushing it. They're putting money behind it. They're propagandizing it, and the American media companies are like highlighting it and putting it around the world. And I'm like, that's dangerous
Yeah.
for anybody to come over here and think that they got to eat this food to prove something. Like that is dangerous.
Yeah, it's absolutely dangerous, man. So, you know, hopefully this show was helpful for people to start looking at the ingredients of their food, particularly if, for our American audience, you're being abused by the food companies, and it's affecting your health. And that's why every grocery store has a pharmacy in it now, because they know that the food that you're eating is going to make you sick. So they want to make it very convenient for you to get your food that's going to make you sick and then go get your pharmaceuticals that's supposed to address your illness. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's happening right now. When we were younger, Red Pill, the grocery store and the pharmacy were different stores. They weren't all in one. So now they're all in one. And it's all in one for a reason because they know that people are getting sick off of the food that they're eating. They know this. They know it. So I just wanted to be clear on that because it's stark sitting in London, watching people walk around, and I'm noticing that all the adults are looking healthy or at a decent weight. And I haven't seen, literally, I haven't seen one morbidly obese person in London. And I'm not saying that like there aren't any obese people here. What I'm saying is that in my 3 days of being here, I haven't seen a morbidly obese person. Whereas I would just need to be in America for 2 hours and see morbidly obese people. The moment you leave the airport, right? Any airport in any city in America, you're going to see a morbidly obese person within probably 2 hours. I've been here for 3 days and I haven't seen one morbidly obese. I've seen people with some weight on them, but like I said, it's like 1 out of every 12. The other 11 out of 12 all look to be in decent shape, and it's crazy. So I wanted people to be aware of that. I also want to, before we close out, I want to big up the people of England in London, particularly the people who brought me here. So I was brought by Global Legacy Builders, who is run by the chief minister of the Nation of Islam in London, Minister Abdul Hakim Muhammad. He's been a great host. The brothers treated me like royalty. They wouldn't let me go anywhere without security. So I'm walking down the streets and there's 6 brothers surrounding me. And, it's like, it was kind of weird for me, but they take security very seriously. And we had a great turnout. It was standing room only. People got what they paid for. Definitely. We went 6 hours. We covered high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney failure. So reversing high blood, the true cause of high blood pressure, the true cause of diabetes, the true cause of kidney failure, cancer, autoimmune diseases. And we did this in 6 hours. We went over the scientific studies, and everyone got their homework assignment, which is go to drugs.com and look up the side effects of all of the pharmaceuticals that you're taking. And we did that, and people were just, you know, people were just blown away because they didn't know that these medications that they were taking was causing these side effects. And I mean, people were just like, this is exactly what I'm experiencing. So I would rattle off the side effects and people would look at it black and white and they would just be shaking their head saying, I'm on this medication, and some of these side effects is what I'm going through right now. So they were able to get a different view and thinking about health, that it's actually these pharmaceuticals that they're dealing with that may be causing these supplementary illnesses that they're having, or these secondary and tertiary illnesses that they're having. So it's very educational. And, I got to see people that have been customers of mine for some time and, have emailed me. And it's always nice to see the face. And the people were beautiful, lovely, kind, generous, warm, hospitable, and really, really, really beautiful people, man, that I met in London. Uh, I'll be back in September. I've been requested to come back in September, and trust me, we'll be having even a bigger venue because we're expecting probably 3 times more people. I think we had about, I mean, it was full. The place was just packed, but we're gonna do a second lecture, and I think what we're gonna do next time is that the organizers are gonna have me do a couple of cities. I think I'll be doing London, and you were talking about Birmingham and Manchester, a couple other places. So we'll do more cities to get this information out to people. And one of the beautiful things too is that there's a sister actually. So there's a sister who'd been contacting me last year, and she had multiple myeloma. So multiple myeloma is a blood cancer, also affects the bone marrow, and it's extremely painful because you get lesions in your bones. And so can you imagine you've got something eating up your bones? And I'll never forget, she used to call me on WhatsApp. And when she called me, she would call me crying because she was in so much pain. She was diagnosed with this multiple myeloma and she didn't know what to do. And they told her chemotherapy and all of that. So she did a round of chemotherapy, but she could not take the side effects of her chemotherapy. So this was like last year. And in January, she stopped taking chemotherapy. Oh, so what happened was she did a round of chemotherapy. It was very painful for her, and it caused serious side effects for her. She did not want to do it, but her numbers were not going down. The doctors told her she needs to do another round. By that time, she found out about me and Herbal Results, and she started doing the Herbal Results cancer eradication protocol along with her chemotherapy. She then, after that second round of chemotherapy, she then saw that her numbers were dropping. But remember, she was taking the herbal results protocol along with the chemotherapy. Her numbers started to drop. So she didn't know if it's the herbal results protocol that was working, like the olive leaf and all that, the vitamin D and the magnesium that was working, or the chemo. So what she decided to do was discontinue her chemotherapy. So she stopped doing chemotherapy because it was causing her these side effects and she hated doing it in January. So she decided, since her numbers, I think her blood marker numbers went down from like 30 to like 20 or something like that. So she saw that there was progress happening, but she didn't know whether it could be attributed to the chemo or the herbal results protocol, right? But she had some inkling that it was the herbal results protocol that was doing, because she had done chemo before and it did not help her. Her numbers were actually going up. So she discontinued it. And from January to April of this year, she just did the herbal results protocol. Well, her numbers went down even more to like, I think 16. And then it went down to 5. And then by June, she went and got tested, and her cancer markers was 0. And she did a PET scan, and the PET scan also confirmed that she's completely cancer free. Now, the thing is that this type of news, she was actually at the lecture and didn't get a chance to see me because they rushed me out. Like I told you, they were just like big insecurity. I'm going to try to get her to do a testimonial. She's very shy. She wants privacy. And it turns out that she didn't even tell anyone she was sick besides maybe 2 or 3 family members. So she didn't want, the whole world coming at her with a pity party. So she didn't want to necessarily do a testimonial. She does private testimonials. So anyone who has multiple myeloma or whatever, I definitely can get you in touch with her to talk to her. I'm working on her to, get a testimonial, but just to hear her story. I spoke to her yesterday on the phone. She was very, very, very different than the woman who was crying, calling me. But like these little things of traveling and actually meeting people who I deal with over the phone that I never see their faces, and then actually can actually meet these people and hug them and celebrate the achievement of being cancer free. You can't pay me enough money for this type of experience. And there were more reversals, asthma reversals, and what have you. And people come in with problems that are quite easy to solve. That we did the consultations, and I told them, okay, do X, Y, Z, and you could just see the relief on their face. Because in London or in England, healthcare is free, right? The problem is this. So the problem with the healthcare system in London is, I'll give you an example. The example will be, so a woman, I do a consultation with the woman, and basically her mother is bleeding in her stool. So whenever she's using the bathroom, blood is coming out. So so she goes to the doctors, and the doctors say, "Oh, that's not a good sign, blah blah blah. Let's book you an appointment to determine whether you have cancer so we can get the scans done and everything." The appointment is for 3 months down the line. The appointment is in like October. So she may have cancer, she may not have cancer. But based on the system in England, she will have to wait 3 months to determine whether she has cancer. Now, they have 2 systems here in London, in England. Is the free care or the private care, but you have to have money for the private care. A lot of people don't have that money. And anyone who's ever been to London, you'll be able to know it's a very expensive city, man. It's a very expensive city. I'm talking about, like, you think Manhattan, New York City is expensive? Like, in the size of like the rooms that you're renting is very small, and you're paying like two $2,500 a month for like a studio apartment to rent. Like it's crazy expensive in London, and you don't get value for your money. You do get free healthcare, but the healthcare that you get, you've got to wait. Like you've got to wait. Literally, you could be having cancer and you're bleeding. Like this woman is bleeding every day, but they can't give line her up for an appointment to do a scan until October. So, she's starting the protocol immediately because whether it's cancer or not, the protocol is going to be good for her. But if it's cancer, at least we can start fighting against it. And, then she can find out in October. But hopefully by October, the problem would have, been dealt with, because usually with the herbal results protocol, we're seeing cancer reversals between 30 days and 3 months. So by then, you know, if she had a tumor in her stomach or whatever, hopefully it'll be gone by then. But literally, this is what people have to deal with. And so they'll see their doctors and they don't get another appointment for another 3, 4, 5 months. And who knows what can happen during that time? You know what I'm saying? So this is just the vibes, man. And Red Pill, I just want you to know that there was a brother who came and greeted me and said that he watches this show all the time. And he's a big fan of yours. So I wanted to shout you out, Red Pill, that you are reaching different parts of the world, man. And, someone came to the lecture
Medea,
shouting you out, you know?
Medea, hopping overseas, Medea.
Yeah, man. They
Yeah,
said,
I've
yeah, Heru.
arrived.
Yeah, so big up. I watch Red Pill, and I see, your show with Red Pill all the time. I've been following Red Pill. He's even been following my work too for some time.
Yes,
So he's been
big up.
watching me and you over the years separately, and then now he's watching me and you together. So
Yes,
just
yes,
salute to you, and salute to us for
yes.
forming like Voltron to
The
get this
allegiance.
information out to the people. Oh, one of my elders is on watching Zama Cook. Big up to Zama.
Big up,
Always.
Baba.
Yeah, man. Big up to Zama. Always. Always have to big up Zama, Washington, D.C. Elder, legendary Zama Cook, United Negro Improvement Association, Marcus Garvey in the house. Big up to all the people, man. And yeah, so these types of traveling the world and helping people heal themselves where they're not getting solutions, man, is very, very, very rewarding to me. And someone was actually asking me at dinner after the lectures, like, how does it feel when people tell you that their cancer is reversed? Like, how does it feel for you? Like, no one ever really asked me that question before, and I had to really think about it. And it's the best feeling in the world. It's the absolute best feeling in the world. Like, I have to say that I've lived a very charmed life, man, and life has been good to me, and I've received a lot of love in my life. And I think that that gives me the opportunity to give the love back, right? And so when you've been given a lot of love and you're able to share a lot of love by helping people solve problems in their life, you get love back, and it becomes this positive feedback loop of love. And I can honestly tell you, man, there was nothing but love in that room that day, on Saturday at the lecture. Like, it was actually quite emotionally moving to see so many people see, and you could see the light bulb go off in people's heads while they're getting this information. They're they're piecing things together. So all the people who came, a couple hundred people who came, maybe, um, you know, they're now going back to their homes and their families with a new lease on life and a new understanding of health from a first principles approach. So I just wanted to big up Global Legacy Builders, the Nation of Islam in London, Minister Abdul Hakim Muhammad, and the people of London who showed up. And it's a cosmopolitan city, and so the people who showed up are not just from London. They're from the Caribbean, they're from Africa, they're from different places in the world, and they just happen to live in London. They showed up to the lecture, so it was good to see such a cross section of people get this information, and hopefully it just spreads. Um, so yeah, I've had a beautiful time in London. I'll be back in September. I'll also be back in December. Looks like I'll be back every 3 months. to do this, to do these lectures, and to give people more education on Herbal Results products and the distribution. So the Nation of Islam is actually officially the distributors of our products, of Herbal Results products in London. So those of you all who are in London,
That's huge.
yeah. So you contact Global. Yeah. So we're doing business too, and they're trying to convince me to do a manufacturing facility here. I'll be having some business meetings today with the distributors, and so everything is happening well. They've almost already sold out of product, so we'll be shipping more product. And the beautiful thing is they're shipping in product in bulk, so that the people of London or the people of England who are buying the product don't have to worry about shipping fees or customs duties, right? Because when they order from the website, it gets shipped to you. It takes maybe 5 days to get to you, and then there's customs duties and all that. And the brothers and sisters at the Nation of Islam here in London, they're taking all those fees and they're buying in bulk together, so that there'll be enough supplies for people in the London area. And so I believe the website is globallegacybuilders.co.uk. I'll be posting it on my website on herbalresults.net on the shop page. So for those of you in England, you can just order from their website instead of ordering from Herbal Results, because we're shipping from America. And you'll be able to get it from London. They have a delivery system as well, where they'll be delivering it straight to your doorstep. All right. So we're organized, and I love, love, love working with our people who are organized and serious and just aren't about running their mouths, who are really serious about delivering solutions for our people. And I've been very, very impressed with the Nation of Islam. Uh, and here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing. We sit down and we talk business. We talk about getting these products to people's doorsteps and solving these problems. And not once did we sit down and argue about religion, and separation and this and that. And there was none of that happening. It was complete unity, complete love, and getting these products to people's doorsteps and into their houses where they can solve their problems. Because the minister actually has been personally giving people the olive leaf extract and the vitamin D and these magnesium, seleniums, and has in the last 6 months seen people reverse their illnesses. So he's like gung ho about it, and he's serious. He wants to cover. He actually wants to get exclusive rights to distribute through all of Europe. And of course, that's a conversation that we'll have. But right now, they have the United Kingdom, and they're doing a great job, man. And so we are um, on the move. We're happy. I was actually supposed to. I was thinking about going to Ghana after being in London, because it's closer than the United States to get to Africa, and I was going to do Ghana. I was going to do a lecture in Rwanda and a lecture in Uganda.
Might have to put me
However,
on the bill, my brother.
yeah, well, there's
You know
conversations
what
about
I'm
that.
saying?
Well, actually, no. Well, Red Pill is actually quite serious, because right now I've been asked. Sister Kafunya.
Yeah, yeah. Shout
Yeah,
out to
well,
California.
she's asking me to do something in July, possibly, and she mentioned me doing a double billing with you. So that's a conversation that we're gonna have. So we might see
Yeah,
each
yeah.
other sooner than later in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm in
Uh,
New York, so we could make
okay,
it happen. I'm in the town for a minute right now.
okay. So
City
yeah, she
Invest
brought
Fest.
that up. I spoke with Kafunia just 2 days ago. So she's trying to get a lecture for me and you to discuss health and wealth, and then some of this AI work that you've been doing. So we may do something at Nicholas Brooklyn or some of these other places. So we'll keep the audience, uh, updated on that, man. But um, for the people who were looking for me to be in Ghana, in Rwanda, in Uganda, um, let's shoot for September. And I was gonna go directly there, but it's the middle of mango season in Florida, man. I gotta get back to mango season. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk, man. So after mango season is done, I'll be doing more international travel, where I'll be on the continent for weeks. Maybe a week in Ghana, a week in Rwanda, a week in Uganda, and I also want to go to Addis Ababa. So we got any listeners in Ethiopia and Addis Ababa? I already have brethren and sisters there. But if we got any listeners there and you'd like me to come to Ethiopia, I'm looking to come to Ethiopia I've never been to Ethiopia, but I'm feeling Addis Ababa. We can sit down, eat some injera, some misawat together, and do a couple lectures in Addis Ababa as well. So I would look forward to that. But yeah, that's what we got going on. And so Ghana crew, Rwanda crew, Uganda crew, look for me sometime in maybe September, October with these lectures and with the products as well. But other than that, man, again, salute to the folks in London. Y'all were so beautiful. I felt the love, and I know that you all got a lot of value for the time and the money that you spent to attend the lecture. So that's it. So I hopefully this has been helpful for people in terms of this understanding of the food supply. You have to be super vigilant in looking into the ingredients of your food. And if it has 20 ingredients, don't eat it. um, Try to eat organic. Try to start growing your own food. Of course, it's not going to be enough for you, but just get into the habit of self sufficiency. Kuji chagalia. You know what I'm saying? Like, is very important. As my wife says, she was feeling embarrassed by buying scallion and onions and all of that. So she starts growing it herself. So she goes into our yard and starts picking the scallion and all the different the thyme and everything when she's cooking. She's getting it straight from yard because she's like, why am I buying any of this food from the grocery store when I can just grow it myself? Like all of you, like garlic, ginger, all of that, you could just cut a piece of it and just put it in soil and it will just regrow. All the fruits that you're buying, lemons, you could take the seed and just put it in some soil and it will grow and you never have to buy this stuff from the grocery store again. So then you don't have to worry about it being sprayed with this or this and that. So you can literally start engaging in Kuji Chagalia to solve the problems of being dependent on food from people who don't care about us, right? And they have been, looking at us with contempt for the last 500 years. So why would we rely on them for our food supply? It makes no sense, right? So try to eat as little from your enemies as possible. Try, and if you do eat from them, make sure that it has the least amount of ingredients and it's coming from the soil, it's coming from the earth, and stick with that until you can have an exit plan. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is, man. So it's been beautiful talking to y'all. I actually have some meetings that I have to attend, but brother Red Pill, please, you can close out. And
Yes, family. I want to
yeah,
say thank you for pulling up today. Just pay attention. We have a lot of things going on in New York City. We will make the announcement about all of the upcoming dates, but we will be doing a 72 clause. We will be doing a summer camp for the children, but we're also talking about doing a nighttime summer school for the adults as well. We bringing this AI to New York City. We are on the road to Invest Fest, so we're looking for investors, and we're also just building out in public, showing the family how we are literally going to walk into Invest Fest and walk out of there with multi-million dollars worth of deals. And yeah, the journey starts now.
absolutely. And there's some people commenting, Larry Wells, Uganda. Yeah, this brother's been looking to get me to Uganda, brother Larry. And yes, I will be looking forward to being in Uganda. And we're going to look at September, all right? So we're going to start looking for plane tickets and all that. And I know you've been working hard to get me to Uganda. So yeah. And when I'm in East Africa, I always have to do Rwanda and, visit my people in Kenya and Tanzania as well. So who knows? I might just go ahead and just make that a whole family trip and just bring my family along with me so we can stay in East Africa for maybe a couple months. So we'll see what happens, Larry. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you and the crew in Uganda as well. Someone says they'd like help with some health issues. Yeah, just go to herbalresults.net and go to the email there, which is info@herbalresults.net, Elena, and send me a message as to what your issue is, and we'll get it taken care of. All right. And big up to everybody who's saying thank you. Um, Someone says, what do I do being a mid-aged woman who will not let doctors diagnose me with anything, but I do feel things in my body? Truth Queen, go ahead and email us at info@herbalresults.net and we can chop it up. and I can certainly point you in the right direction. If we don't make the products that will help you, I can point you to the products that may be able to help you. Okay. All right. So big up everybody. We'll be back. Someone says they can't wait for y'all New York meet. Yeah. So you'll know about the New York meet. Maybe there sometime in July. There's actually two artists, Rima and Kenya, who are performing. Those y'all who into reggae, two of the best female reggae artists are performing July 25th. I don't know if I have a flyer I could share it with y'all. I'm seeing there's a possibility to attend that. It was going to be a surprise for my wife because those are her favorite artists, but I'll talk to her to see if that's something that we can actually do. I'll probably bring my son and my wife to New York during that time so they can see New York. And well, my wife used to live in New York, but she wants to see these artists, and maybe I can help promote that concert real quick. So those y'all who into like serious roots music, who actually uh, want to see some of the top artists uh, that we have produced as an African people. You want to see Rima out of the Virgin Islands, and you want to see Kenya Eugene. And I'm just looking for the flyer right now that I can share with y'all. And who knows if the audience, y'all in New York, and y'all want those vibes, we could meet up there. If y'all just want to meet up, get a nice little hug, a nice pound, shake hands, all of that, and seeing if we can maybe then do something with myself and Red Pill in Brooklyn the day before or the day after the concert. So let me see if I can find the flyer so that people would want to know the information. Let's see if it's on Rima's site because I can't find it on Kenya's Facebook page. Let's see if Rima has it up, and we'll close out with that for people. Because I saw the flyer a couple weeks ago. Let me see. It should say Rima. Okay. Let me see if I can just look Rima, Kenya Eugene. And trust me, if you love reggae music and you love the Empresses, really talking about truth and rights, you're gonna want to see these two artists, Rima and Kenya Eugene, some of the best in reggae music. Here we are. I think this is it. Yep, this is the flyer. So I'm going to share this with you all. And if you all are interested in coming, I might be there. So let me see. Okay, I'm going to share this with you all. Let me press pause and let's see. Let me put that here. All right. Let me share the screen. Window. Facebook. All right. So this is the concert that is happening live in New York City. And let me just press play. Oh, let me see. I don't know if it's being shared. Yeah. Are you all able
Sharing
to
the
see it?
flyer. You sharing the flyer just now?
Yeah, I don't know if you
I
all are able
saw
to.
it.
Let me see. I want to know if you all been able to see the flyer. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, I'm gonna see it. Rima.
Okay. So it's live in New York City, y'all, with Kenya Eugene. That is Saturday, July 25th at Culture Palace. It's on 3605 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. So that's Saturday, July 25th. So if you all if you all want to see the best of who we are as a people represented by our women, you want to go to this concert. Rima in Kenya, Eugene, is going to be nothing but culture, truth and rights, love and affection, and it's going to be like our women, the way we want to see our women, regal and responsible and really, really, really impressive. Great singers, great songwriters, and keeping the tradition of truth and rights music, roots music alive. And they're coming straight from the Virgin Islands. And you don't want to miss this if you're in the New York area, and if you're outside New York area, it's worth attending because the Brooklyn audience don't play when it comes to reggae music. So this is going to be deep in Brooklyn, and I believe it's going to be outdoors. And so if you haven't heard of Rima's music or Kenny Eugene music, get familiar and just go on YouTube and look at them, and you'll see that they're some of the best that we have to offer for our people. And if you have like children, particularly if you have like young daughters, you might want to bring them to this show because all reggae shows are family friendly. There's no cursing, there's no lewdness. And so, it becomes something that we can be proud of where you can bring your family. And particularly if you've got young daughters, it'd be good for them to see what regal black women look like because what they're being bombarded with is the Nicki Minaj's and the Little Kims and the Foxy Browns and the Sexy Reds and all of these women who basically do strip club music, right? And here's the deal. Let me stop sharing it. The job, as far as America goes, I'm going to say this, as far as America goes, the job of every father, okay, a father has a job with his sons and a job with his daughters. The job of every father is to keep his daughters off of the stripper pole and to keep his sons out of jail. That's the bare minimum, okay? Because what the American culture is trying to do to black folks is to put our sons in jail and to put our daughters on stripper poles. So if you want to have a countervailing narrative, you have to surround your children in environments that are conducive to them being upright people. And so what you're going to do is, particularly if you have young children and young girls, bring them to this concert so they can see what regal black women look like. Because if you're in America and you tuned into the radio stations and all that, you're not getting that. So it's your job as a parent to expose your children to a whole different vibration so that they can grow up modeling great women. Okay? And so that's what you all are going to see on July 25th. And it's a big deal. So I think I might attend. So hopefully I'll see y'all there. And myself and Red Pill will be in New York as well. So thank you all for tuning in. And Red Pill, please give out your website information or anything else that you want to give out. And people
Yes.
also, just for me to close, we'll be back on Wednesday
Wednesday.
doing wealth results. So tune in on Wednesday. But Red Pill, please close us out.
Yes, indeed, family. I want to say thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your attendance. KTLUniversity.com for the archives. Patreon /Red Pillar for the exclusives, and school /Imaginarium for our summer school program where we teach every other day about AI, and we do hands-on training and things of that nature. So we look forward to seeing y'all. Peace, love, and light.
All right, bless up, y'all. See y'all on Wednesday.